am.
And you are a school teacher in Richmond County.
That's correct.
What grade do you teach?
I teach 7th and 8th grade special education.
Okay. So what brings you out here today?
Well, I saw a lot of posts on Facebook about people wanting to engage in civil disobedience and pass out water in voting lines. But to me, there's a much bigger issue, and that is that we need to get the people that passed this legislation voted out of office. So my personal goal is I would like to see the largest voter turnout for this upcoming election in Georgia history and get them out of office. Well, it's just egregious attempt to suppress voting. And it's just awful that we're moving in the wrong direction. And I think that the people that are in power in Georgia are frightened of what will happen if everybody gets out and votes. And that's just wrong. Laws should be making it easier for people to vote, to engage in the civic process and exercise their rights.
The folks that are on the other side and in favor of the law, they say there's nothing in it that prevents anyone from voting. It's just to prevent voting. What is your reaction to that?
There was no evidence of fraud, widespread fraud in the past election. And the Republican Secretary of State certified the results of that election and stayed with that certification under pressure from the highest person possible to administer pressure to him. So I don't think there was any evidence of widespread voter fraud. We had the best election that we've ever had.
Well, you know, our voting rights has been at attack by the state government, and we have to make sure that people understand what this new voting bill means, or what this new voting law means, and they understand how they can either, fit in or fight. So we wanted to make sure that the best information about this law is out to the people so that we can get some gain. Well, you know, I've always said that we should be making voting easier for folks to do, to participate in, and not harder. And this law makes it harder for people to vote. If that, whether we're talking about the changes in voting times, restrictions on drop boxes. People use drop boxes as a means of convenience, especially during the pandemic. If we're talking about folks catching misdemeanor charges for giving out water in lines for folks to vote, for folks to drink while it's hot outside and they're waiting on the line to shorten, that's a problem. Our ability to fund elections is on the line as well. You know, we've received a lot of money from outside groups to help our local Board of Elections fund these last two elections. One of the most historic elections, expensive elections in history. Outside groups helped us fund it. Well, now that's restricted. So that puts a strain on what we can do as a city from a budgetary process, from a budgetary perspective. So there's so many different aspects to this law that concerns me, that concerns everyday citizens, because again, it restricts our access to free and fair elections. It's set out to address an issue that was not a problem, and that is the problem.
Why fix what's not broken? Can you kind of speak on that?
Well, you know, that's the question that I want to find out. Why are we trying to fix something that's not broken? More people voted in this election than ever before. More first-time voters, more voters who hadn't voted since 2008. Folks were excited about this election. For whatever reason, I'm not going to get into that, but folks were excited about having an opportunity to cast their vote and to let their voices be heard. There was no evidence of fraud whatsoever in this state. You know, we asked the Secretary of State and the governor to show us one incident. He could not provide us one incident. So the fact of the matter is that there was not any widespread voter fraud in this state. Contrary to what the former president said, contrary to what our current governor says, there was no evidence of voter suppression. And because of that, we should all be upset, we should all be alarmed that a bill has been signed into law that restricts our access to vote. And here's the thing, Scott, it affects folks in minority communities because those are the communities where there are few voter precincts than other communities. Those are the areas where you have long lines in the summer. Those are the areas where you have more elderly people who cannot get out to the polls to simply go and cast their ballot. Those are the areas where you have folks who can't afford stamps. As simple as that may sound, there are folks who cannot afford stamps and postage to be able to put their absentee ballot in the mail, thus our need for drop boxes. There are folks who don't have access to copy machines to get IDs made to send in with an absentee ballot. There have already been processes in place to safeguard against fraud. Why are we getting ready to put more things in place that we don't need? It's ridiculous, it's uncalled for, it's unethical, it's unconstitutional, and we should all be concerned about it.